This is the art of startup war. And my name is Brian McMahon, your host and sensei. Here is what we know. 98% of startups will fail every single day, and mostly due to reasons outside your control. The Expert Dojo Startup Accelerator, we look to even up the playing field by sitting down with the greatest minds in startup investment, right here in our studio in Silicon Beach, where we look to shine a light on your path to success. Now, our guests each week have invested millions of dollars into startups and are the most respected investors in the world. Now, they share all they know with you, the listener. So join us on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, starting off your week winning the war against startup failure. Welcome. It is another week of the Expert Dojo podcast. Again, I'm talking to a brilliant friend of mine, and today we're going to talk about investing in not just in cryptocurrencies, in ICOs. We're going to talk about the cryptocurrency space. We're going to talk about you, Eric, and we're going to talk about like how you got to the space that you're in. We're going to talk about the investment decisions you do. It's cool. Every time we do one of these on cryptocurrency, the people listening spikes through the roof. So firstly, tell me why the hell that is. And then can we talk a little bit about your background and what took you from the early days in cryptocurrency to where you are today?
Sure. Well, the reason why it spikes is because of you, Brian. That's nothing else. Right?
No, that's the reason why it spikes downwards.
No. It goes straight up to the moon. For me, early on, I was interested in Bitcoin very early on. I would say it was 2009 December.
How come we didn't go for beers then and you didn't like mention it to me?
Oh, I was working at PIMCO and I was working at my hedge fund, so we didn't meet. I was part of the old sinful world of Wall Street. So I was bloody drunk New Year's Eve, and I was reading about the Bitcoin white paper, on Reddit.
Yeah, like people are doing. Obviously, there was a bunch of people on New Year's Eve reaching the Bitcoin white paper on Reddit. Yeah,
and getting drunk, wasted, falling over all over the place. And of course, I woke up the next day and I was wondering, what the fuck did I just read? Because I remember something about it.
Because this isn't the first cryptocurrency in inverted commas that's come out, right? They've been trying to launch these things for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So what was it about this particular one that made it more interesting than the previous attempts?
I think it was the reason why. I think it was the timing, right? Technology, everything's going to the internet. Right. I think it was the perfect timed position, I guess. And also, this is after the financial crisis, right? No one trusted the banks and pretty much didn't trust anything that dealt with the banks. So I think it was a factor of those things that really got Bitcoin steamrolling, because you now have all the early Bitcoin adopters all talking about like having the right economy, like all the federal central banks are horrible. They're like destroying paper money, and Bitcoin's a good alternative. Yeah, right. So again, just perfect timing. Yeah.
Wow. And then so you're reading the white paper, you looked at it. How did you realize that you were then going to be able to benefit from getting into investment in that space? Or were you just an enthusiast at that stage?
The reason why I was looking at it as an investment, because I was fearing that we probably would go into the Great Depression. Whenever the government interferes with the economy, it always turns ugly, right?
Yeah, and this was just after hell, 2007, 2008 was not fun, right?
No, it was not. 2009 is kind of where the bottom was.
Yeah.
It was very, 2009, 2011 was very shaky in the world. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And I was looking at Bitcoin as an investment option, besides like owning maybe like whiskey or things like that. It just so happens if there's a Great Depression, at least I have a lot of good stuff to drink and stuff like that.
No, but you're not wrong. It's really interesting that you talk about this, because you're right. Bitcoin came out of one of the greatest depressions of our lifetime. And when the housing crisis came, it decimated everything. Yeah. And when housing gets decimated, the problem is there is nothing underneath that. Like, housing is that one fundamental that we think it's our only protection, right?
Yes.
We money can go down, stocks can go down, all that stuff, .com can come. Yeah. But when our friggin' houses are worth 20% of what they were worth before, then we start to look at actually what is a stable investment and what is not. Yep. So that's really interesting. So then you looked at it, and then how did you get involved? Because this was before, like, even now it's complicated enough.
Yes.
I mean, we have to have wallets and other things as well. But back in those days, what the hell?
Yeah, it was really, really weird. I mean, everything was like local Bitcoin.com, so everything was on OTC. So I met someone off the internet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like AKA like Craigslist, like sort of. And it's like, okay, hey, how you doing? Oh, hi, how you doing?
More like back pages.
Yeah, yeah. And then I meet these people in public places like Starbucks and like give them cash.
No way.
Yeah.
And how did you trust? I mean, like, seriously?
This is my wallet address. I had my wallet address, and whoever the hacker, whoever had theirs, and that was it.
Amazing.
Exchanged money, and they sent me Bitcoin. A lot of these were like super anarchists. Yeah. Computer hackers or just everyday people. There were some drug dealers I dealt with, drug users. Yeah. Questionable people. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. But a fascinating time, right? Yeah, because it was Wild West. It was back in the gold rush in America. Yeah. Everybody was coming into it. They were true believers on a massive level. Mm-hmm. And those people, I almost think of them, even rather than the gold rush, they're almost like the early Mac users, right?
Yes.
They were the guys who came in as like, I'm not doing this because it's trendy and it's cool and I want to pay 5 times the price for a computer because I look nice. I'm doing it because of the power of the processing and the design. And the capabilities that it has. So that was that space. And then how much were you paying for Bitcoin back then? Go on, make me depressed.
Oh my goodness, I don't want to say.
Come on,
I remember Bitcoin was under 3 cents when I first looked at it.
3 cents.
Yeah. $1, $1.50, $2, 25.50. 2013 it was like 220, 250 for a long time.
And did you ever worry it might really just drop and end up being nothing?
Yeah, of course. Because, like anything, this is like so new. I didn't know what the hell I'm doing, what is this? But I believe the vision of it, like what the underlying message like is trying to decentralize money. Like this money is accessible for everyone.
Only the most difficult thing in the entire world to decentralize, right?
Yes. Yeah. So so I just sort of just believed in it. So I did sell some here and there.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have any money at Mt. Gox when it blew up.
But that's unfortunate. But when anything is developing technology or innovation, the Mt. Goxes are always going to be there. You just have to hope you're lucky, right?
Yes. That's just a fact of how a lot of when new technology and new ideas come, there's always going to be some bloodshed. Yeah. Right? And
I'm sure there's going to be more as it goes forward. So then how did you then start moving from just buying some Bitcoin into moving into other currencies? And then also I want to start talking about the ICO movement, the initial coin offering movement, and kind of where that's coming from, and then have just a good lively discussion about where we go to with this.
Okay, sounds great. I was sort of still with my hedge fund and I quit afterwards. We did pretty well. We were like shorting the market. So I started to just do some angel investing. I was interested in the whole investing in startups. I didn't know where to go. I just started doing meetups and just went from there. I mean, the LA scene was the best scene, in my opinion, for Bitcoin and just in general startups, because it was growing a lot. There's a lot of interest in LA.
And that's interesting what you say, because within technology, obviously the scene was San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. As boring and institutional a city as it is, it still had all the angel investors. It still had all of the people who came out from PayPal and LinkedIn and God knows where else. And LA as a startup scene was a struggling scene until maybe 2-3 years ago. Yes. I mean, it's only now that Silicon Beach actually means anything. Yes. They talked about it 10 years ago, but what the hell? We didn't have anything. But Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, I don't want to say it was started down here, but I have to say it feels like it was almost started down here, like the Brock Pierces and the people who would come into, and even though Michael Turpins and those folks are not based here, I would almost feel like that there was such a strong scene.
They came to LA and hung out with Brock and all the groups. I would definitely say LA was the scene before San Francisco. Yeah. San Francisco had all the, the VC-backed traditional startups there, but, LA, we had, Hollywood, we had Brock, who's from Hollywood, and Bitcoin.
Yeah, and Brock spoke a great game at the beginning when nobody believed in it.
He was the biggest endorser,
Yeah, he was the true evangelist, came out, was explaining how this thing worked to people. And I would listen to Brock. Back in, I came here 6 years ago and took over, had the dojo here 3.5 years ago. But when Brock would come in here and speak to our people about what's going on within cryptocurrency and where's it going to be, I would say to Brock after every talk, man, that is the most eloquent description I have ever heard describing a new complicated technology. And I feel like I should know exactly what you're talking about, but I have no friggin' clue. But I know it's me because you explained it unbelievably well. So can you come back next week and just say exactly the same stuff again? Because it was hard, because it's not simple, right?
No,
the
it's
actual
not simple,
the actual process of cryptocurrency. And actually, before we talk about ICOs, let's jump into this for a second. The process of how cryptocurrency and the different cryptocurrencies fit into blockchain, which is almost on some levels an entirely foreign concept to cryptocurrency, but somehow it's all managed to get married into one place.
Yes.
How do you explain that? All of it.
It's just like you.
I'll just shut up. Okay, I'll just listen.
All this shit, like you actually mentioned earlier. It's not very well understood. It's pretty complicated. It's like explaining the internet to like a caveman, or maybe like early American settlers. Like
my mom.
Okay, maybe your mom, I guess. So like Bitcoin, blockchain's first application was Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin blockchain. Then when Bitcoin came out, everyone started creating their own currencies and saying, "Oh, this is the latest, greatest, blah blah blah," and then kind of got lost in the mix. Like now, cryptocurrencies, the really fucking shitty ones, are like the same level as Bitcoin.
So how did that evolve then? So Bitcoin came because this is not a chicken or egg, right? This is blockchain came first.
Yes.
Okay. And how would you explain blockchain to everybody listening?
I would say it's kind of like an open spreadsheet, like a Microsoft Excel or a notebook, old school accounting ledgers. You're really just entering data into each line, row, and column, and no one could erase that entry. So from that, they're able to create this, very, what they call a very limited, artifact because of those data entries, and that is Bitcoin.
So it's an agreement by all parties involved in every single transaction along the way that transaction took place.
Correct.
Right, which is really cool, because normally, to your point, like if you have it in Excel or you have it on a spreadsheet, then it's just one person putting it in.
Correct.
And we have to believe that person. Correct. Which is why fraud and things take place. But if every single party at every single level continually have to agree on the exact current stage of the process, correct, then unless there's a huge collaboration of fraud, which is extremely unlikely to have every party involved, then it's just an amazing way to pursue the truth of what's happening with specific money. And I think that's what became maybe what separated this cryptocurrency movement from the previous ones, was that it was embedded by this, right? It was that, hey, you know what? You can trust me. I'm Bitcoin. You can trust me because of every single party that needs to interact with me. Every one of those parties needs to agree to every single thing that happens
every
with me.
Every data entry is supported by everyone. They all see it. It's like I borrowed money from you, Brian. And you see that I borrowed money, like $2, whatever. It's just an example, and everyone sees that. Yeah. All my friends, all your friends, and then you also see, oh, I paid Brian back. I gave that $2 back to you.
So there's none of this. Well, you gave it to me, and you didn't really tell me I had to give it back. No, it's all written all the way through, and that is really, really, really compelling, and probably the strongest singular. It's the backbone of all of the cryptocurrencies. So then Bitcoin came from that, saying, "Hey, you can trust me." And then where did all the other cryptocurrencies come from?
People looking to make a quick buck. Fraudsters, scammers, criminals. Whenever there's a lot of money to be involved, you always get the super shady, seedy people, right? They come out of what works and So like, this is the greatest, blah, 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 because of this reason.
Yeah, you know? But a few are surviving, right? So we have maybe, I look at it almost like the English Football League, okay. or maybe even tennis players, right? You got the top 20 tennis players in the world. Mm-hmm. or maybe even 100, right? Let's say there's 20,000 tennis players, and you know that beyond the first 100, nobody's making any money.
Yes.
Like, you're 102 in the world, you're so screwed.
Yeah.
Because not only are you making no money, but you have to travel to all these tournaments
yes.
just so you can reach the last 16 or last 32 and make almost enough money to get to the next, right? But then you have the top 100, and the top 100 in the world, the Nadals all the way down.
Yeah.
Those boys and girls have got something really special, which is proven over and over and over again. And I think I'm with you on this. I think it's almost like that in cryptocurrency. There's a number of currencies which are phenomenal, and they are backed by real usage and real need. And then there's a bunch of just bullshit that came underneath it. But those principal currencies are strong. Which ones do you see that you like and you feel that they fulfilled a real need when they came through that Bitcoin didn't have when it first launched?
So not Bitcoin related. I mean, Ethereum, it's still, even though the prices have dropped and, a lot of people got into Ethereum because of the capital gains on the price, but, the initial vision of Ethereum is still there as a decentralized, operating system, computer. I still think that's still going to eventually happen. I'm not sure Ethereum will be the one, but right now it's going to be Ethereum.
Yeah.
So
and then you've got multiple other ones.
Yeah, there's all kinds of other stuff. I mean, they're all trying to solve maybe the same thing more or less, but it's if you stay. I still think Bitcoin is going to be the winner. That's just my personal.
I'm with
opinion.
you. It's never gone away.
Yeah, it's never going to go away.
And the downturn in price has never been a huge issue. Even now, you see it's the one that everyone wants to protect. I remember when the prices first started dropping and the naysayers started to come in, and then obviously the enthusiasts started to push it. The feed that kept coming back into my LinkedIn inbox was always, why Bitcoin is going to be 30,000 by 2020. It didn't say, why all of the cryptocurrencies are going to bounce back, or why Ethereum is going to bounce back. It's almost like everybody takes Bitcoin and says, as long as Bitcoin survives, cryptocurrencies survive.
Yes.
If Bitcoin dies,
everyone dies.
we all go with it, right?
Yeah, yep.
We're all going down. So then we had, how many? So then we'll talk about it. Let's talk about ICOs.
Yes.
And then, like, how so many? How many have there been?
I already lost count. I don't even bother because most of them were just all crap. I mean,
but how do they convince people? Here's what I don't get, right? So I'm with you, right? I look at a cryptocurrency and I say, is there a utility? So a cryptocurrency is the same as a normal currency, right? Whether you're the lira, or whether you're the euro, or whether you're a US dollar, there has to be a utility within the population that are going to use your currency. So there's got to be people who are in shops who are selling stuff. There's got to be people buying stuff. You then got to go and get your bus, and your bus has got to accept it. You got to go to the train. You've then got to go and pay your gas and everything else. Like, the currency has to be a currency which is required and which is 360. Now, within a lot of the cryptocurrencies, many of the people who came to me initially and said, we're just going to do X, Y, and Z and solve X power problem over here, but we're going to use cryptocurrency to pay it. And I wouldn't see a full ecosystem of that 360 currency whereby it's paid and used and everything else. But all of these companies kept coming through and launching ICOs, which are initial coin offerings.
Yes.
Which I felt kind of intimated that there needed to be some kind of ecosystem behind it.
Yes.
Give me some thoughts, if you can, about the ICOs, the initial coin offerings that came before, and maybe some good examples and some bad examples. We don't have to use names. And then also where you see this going in the future.
So ICOs, oh man, I think.
And then 3, are you going to do an ICO?
No, I will not do an ICO.
This is always my favorite question, because it's like, are you going to run for president? I will never run for president. Well, I'd like to announce my nomination.
Yes.
Okay, back to the question.
Yes.
Go on.
For ICOs, I just think, when Bitcoin was rising in price, people took advantage of that phenomenon and started doing these so-called security tokens or utility tokens or whatever they call them, tokens.
Yeah.
And like you said, Brian, they had no backing. They had no utility. It wasn't really used for any software because, okay, I buy this cryptocurrency or token, right? It's supposed to be used in a software type fashion, and it didn't. It's really just a money replacement, a dollar replacement, which is okay. Then what's the point of using that? I could already use my credit card or debit card to do everything I need to do. Why would I need this? And back to your point, Brian, that's a lot of them were just doing that cash substitute, and that's not a real, I would say, blockchain application.
Yeah.
You're just replacing the dollar with, blah 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 token.
So buyer beware.
Yes.
Listen, just be careful. All you would-be investors out there who are thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to supplement what I was going to put into my startup, and I'm going to take that $50K and I'm going to invest in ICOs and then make 5 times the money back.
Yeah, and then lose like 70% of it, right?
Lose it all, mate. And just be super careful. If you don't understand it, you probably shouldn't be investing in it.
Yes, that's like everything else, right? So, and I would say...
And where do you see it going?
I see where it's going. It's going to still continue. I think
because there's been some big funds raised, right? I think Sequoia's just raised a huge fund.
Yeah. So all the big regular VC funds are in this now. Mm-hmm. Banks are kind of involved in this now, and they've always said they're not, but they really are. Hedge funds, family offices are looking into this, and then like just people like private wealthy people, they're looking to buy into this stuff too as well. So I think as long as there's interest, ICO market or tokenized market will continue to grow more. I think investors are going to start getting smarter on the institutional level as well as the retail level, I think.
Yeah.
Just because from this recent collapse, right, from the highs in December and January. I think people are going to be a lot smarter and, kind of be more thoughtful where they put their money. But I think it's going to grow.
Yeah. And many ICOs, many of the ICOs in 2017 already failed, right?
Yeah, they're all crap. Yeah, because they were crap to begin with, right? So, right, crap makes crap.
Listen,
crap
don't sit on
gold.
the fence. This is what I hate. Like, we have these talks and you're like, oh, I don't know, Brian. No, they're just
No,
shit.
all right? Crap's going to turn into crap, right? Poop never turns into gold, right?
It's
so
true.
It's, yeah. But
there's something here, right? The reason that you are, because you speak all over the world about cryptocurrency,
I try to,
right? You have got you put your money where your mouth is. You get involved directly in companies and with these currencies themselves, and have a strong
opinions
on them.
the entrepreneurs as well.
So you believe more in this space than in other early stage entrepreneurship spaces, or is this something that you feel that you put a little bit of effort into now and it will move in the future? Because ever since I've known you, this has been your baby.
Oh, yeah, because I have a lot of interest because, I still believe in the ideology, the original ideology way back when, which is basically make this kind of quote-unquote money available to everyone, not just, the wealthy. That's still my views I still hold on today.
Do you think though? Okay, so let's stick with that because I love that. I'm with you. Like, we're both revolutionaries at heart. Like, we don't need to burn everything to build a new,
correct.
We want to build a new and make something beautiful and special and great. Yeah. And we also were, as with any great revolutionaries, we want to make sure that those people who didn't have before have the ability to have with this new system.
Correct.
The thing that frustrated me with the ICO market and with this whole space is I didn't see a new rich. I just saw a different rich than the current rich. Like, I don't see any kids from Inglewood suddenly, doing really well out of cryptocurrency. Yeah. I don't see like kids from Nigeria suddenly coming through and breaking through. I just see a bunch of tech professionals who've managed to find a way to raise money in a far quicker way in a different system.
Yeah, and then take the money and run, right?
And take the money and run.
Or
and then
make a super crappy project, right?
Yeah, and look, and even the cost of an ICO, if we go back there, it is so out of the reach of a normal entrepreneur, they can't get there. I mean, because I don't think, listen, this isn't about has Bitcoin lost its way or has blockchain lost its way, because blockchain, we talked about earlier on, has got a very specific functionality, which it is achieving, right? Mm-hmm. And cryptocurrency, on the level of what it's doing to decentralize money, is achieving it too. But on that sub-level of have we managed to impact change, do you think we can ever actually do it? Or is this just the way we are, that we just have to fuck everything up and just have a different group of people steal it?
Well, I still think it's still try to improve the world. I mean, it's like we can't save the world, right? It's impossible, right? But you can try to make it a little bit better. I think this will allow that to happen. Back to your original point about entrepreneurship. I mean, I think blockchain will be one component of entrepreneurship. There's plenty of other cool business ideas out there. You know, a lot of ideas that have not come into woodwork yet. We don't even know they exist yet.
Yeah.
So I'm all big about entrepreneurship overall.
Yeah.
Blockchain startups is just a component of that. But I think the way we raise money and how startups get off the ground, I think, like for instance, like cryptocurrency or tokens, you know, I think it might make that process easier.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, I mean, anything that's deals with tons of money, there's always going to be fraud and, you know, shit happening.
Yeah, but the more good people I think we can get involved in this, the more we can shepherd this in a direction where it actually can really impact in a very positive way, like in the way of charities and in the way of, you know, driving micropayments and changing systems which are ancient.
Yeah, and try to eliminate as much poverty as we can on this planet, you know, and give people opportunities. I think it's still can happen. I mean, for instance, in, you know, some African nations, they use their cell phones as their only means of banking.
Yeah,
and they use phone credits. They don't use like dollars or, you know, or their currency. They use just phone credits, and they use those phone credits to buy things at supermarkets or whatnot. And, you know, it just shows that that's, you know, Bitcoin or some kind of, you know, really honest cryptocurrency could really change a lot of people's lives in these, you know, other parts of the world. You know, they're, you know, we're spoiled here living in the United States.
But even here, there's 60 million underbanked in the US, right? And they are people
there's poverty.
They don't exist as far as the money thing. So I'm with you entirely. And where are you looking to put your money this year?
Good projects, and founded by good people.
Non-shitty projects.
Yeah, non-shitty, crappy projects that hope to turn into gold. Yeah, I mean, I really look at, it's just like how, Brian, how you look at startups. You look at the founders. You look them straight in the eye, you know, his and her eye, and you see, why are you doing this? And you can tell right away, like, are they doing this to make money, or are they really trying to change something? Because I think if you were a true entrepreneurship, the money part is, it's a side thing, right? You're not really doing it just for that. You're doing it because you're driven to solve something that bothered you or affected your life. The money is sort of like an afterthought, you know, raise money to, you know, pay your employees and things like that.
Yeah, I think of entrepreneurship as just a beautiful illness.
Yes.
It's a sickness that we have, and we are a certain way, and we wake up in the morning and we're a certain way, and nobody can convince us not to do it. And money's important because it's way better to sleep in a bed than it is, you know, not in a bed.
Yes.
But it's definitely not the driving factor in what we try. The reason we do what we do. Because if it was, we'd just all get a job working for a decent investment banker, right?
Yeah. And a lot, for instance, like all the Bitcoin core developers, you know, that worked on Bitcoin, a lot of them don't get paid a lot of money. They do it purely on the ideology, donations, because they're driven by that vision. You know, they're not paid mercenaries like, you know, whatever, some other companies, you know, they really believe in it.
Agree.
That's why they're really working on it, and they do it for free most of the time.
I agree. So fast forward a couple of years, where do you see this? The whole cryptocurrency and blockchain space. You're painting a picture of what the world looks like. Let's say it is 2018 right now, 2023. 5 years out.
Okay, so I would say Bitcoin would be much higher than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be, instead of that 8% adoption rate in US, I think it might be maybe closer to 15.
Is it as high as 8% right now?
Something
adoption?
Like that. I read
that's very high, isn't it? I mean, that's a huge.
I just read that. I mean, who's to say we can really verify that data? But the reason why that was mentioned is because they said the internet adoption rate in 1995 was around 9%.
Right.
So they say the crypto adoption is about 8% now in the US. So it was some article I read that they were trying to make that kind of a comparison, like it's still very, very early. It is still very early.
Yeah. So. Yeah, beautiful. So go on. So where do you think it's going to go? Paint a picture. Do you see us like all using cryptocurrency as a currency? Because we don't really use it as a currency now, right? We use it as a speculation tool.
Correct. And exactly. Just trying to get rich. You know, everyone thinks they're going to be multimillionaires like overnight, right? I think there might be definitely some some projects that will come out where we actually have to use their token, and that token will be used to run the software. I think we'll see some kind of project come out by that time, I think.
Yeah. So you see a different type of tokenization.
Correct.
You see the ICO or the tokenization market to evolve to become more mature, so it's used for really strong utility projects.
I think there will be a real projects coming out back then. I think a lot of the filth, the crap we see now will probably go away because investors are smarter, as well as, the retail as well as the institution, because they will demand real projects. I think there's no longer this case where we just, I never like giving the idea of giving money to people and then like, okay, come back to me later. I'd rather see them incrementally give them money, investment, and see the progress being made. So I think there'll be, in the future, I think investments will kind of turn in that where they wouldn't give these projects like 20-30 million up front and say later, I'll see you in 2 months. I think they'll be given where, via blockchain, they'll be incrementally invested in them, like if they hit certain milestones,
which is the way normal startups work, right?
Correct.
I mean, although listen, so that whole thing is crazy how they got given so much money. But you're right. As long as we start treating people who are in the space as the same entrepreneurs who are starting a business as people who are outside the space, it will make a huge difference.
Yeah, and you'll get the quality will be there, right? All the filth, all the fraud, all of them gonna go away. Whether they're gonna go in jail or whatever, but. That's going to go all the way, in my opinion. I think we'll see very, very well. There still will be some, but it'll be much more minimal than what we see now. I think a lot of countries might actually adopt some type of cryptocurrency
as their principal currency.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to happen because now you see where everywhere you go, paper money is getting destroyed everywhere. Yeah. For us, we live the high life here in the world. All the big, top 10 countries in the world. We're not going to worry too much about that, but I'm talking about like the bottom 50, they might actually institute something that
especially for things like coins, which actually are tremendously expensive for them to produce and not really necessary.
Yes. So I think that's going to happen. I think the government will finally fucking figure out how to deal with these companies and make the laws governing them a little more clear, more black and white. I think countries like China or places that say they ban these places will probably accept them more.
Yeah. They don't really ban them; they just ban them in their own countries. They just all go outside to other countries.
Exactly. But I think around the world, all the countries in the world, I think like the big economies will finally kind of agree upon like these are the rules and these are the regulations and make it pretty transparent. I think so companies can probably operate a little more easier instead of have to move away. That's what I think is going to happen.
I love it. And like as a financial power figure in the crypto space.
Oh my goodness.
Give your advice. You were really smart. You came in right at the right time. You came in from a position of knowledge because you'd already been working in the hedge fund space. Mm-hmm. You already understood finances. You then came into a space which you felt was going to be the cutting edge and put yourself into a position where now you're pretty much set and you can invest back into the space again. What's your advice to entrepreneurs or people who are looking to get into the crypto space over the next 5 years? How and why?
How? One of the beauties of this industry is that it's available and accessible to everyone. And like for instance, the hedge fund industry, right? Unless you're like come from a wealthy family, you went to Princeton or Harvard, and you're like 6'2", whatever, and was on the yachting team, whatever. You're probably going to be out of the hedge fund industry.
A short guy like me is done for.
Oh my God. Whatever. But it's accessible to everyone, regardless of gender, race, nationality, even economic level. That's why it's really, that's why I'm so drawn to it, because you can create so much diversity and entrepreneurship and new business ideas and new business ventures because of this accessibility.
Why don't you create some kind of fund around this space? I don't want to say an ICO because I know it's a dirty word in your mind right now, but I mean a enabling vehicle which people can contribute to that will then allow for whole different demographics to get access to this who couldn't have got access to it before.
I think the real positive, most useful thing to do, I think, in this space is really time. So giving your time to entrepreneurs, let them ask questions, do email intros to like conferences. I think that would be far more useful, in my opinion, because money is cheap now, right? You can get investment money pretty much anywhere now. But I think devoting your time, whether you run an accelerator here in Santa Monica, California, off the beach, or...
It sucks, I know. We struggle through.
Yeah.
We are sitting in a fridge, but still.
Yes. Or you're like some, startup fund in the middle of nowhere, and you just, got some Bitcoin. Now you're willing to invest in your hometown or home country. I think just devoting your time, like any great advisor or investor, I would say time is most valuable thing to give.
I love that. And then, look, just for me, you've been a great buddy of mine for a while. I don't think we've had a good whiskey tasting event that you have not been here by my side.
Yes. The ones I can remember, yes.
So, no, listen, man, I know you're one of those pure of heart people in this crypto space. You're someone that we definitely need. I'm proud to fight alongside you, buddy.
Yes, we will find the great ones.
We will. I think
help everyone.
Yeah, we're at that really early stage right now. And any of you out there, and this is how I'd like to leave this, and I want to leave Eric with the final word. Any of you out there who are looking to get into cryptocurrency, I've seen a lot of people jump in because of hype over the last year or so, and they've lost a bunch of money because you just got involved in something you didn't understand, and that's okay. Look, I've lost a bunch. Live and learn, right? I lost a bunch of money on things I've done over the last 20 years in lots of places, and it wasn't crypto, but shit, maybe it was a silver mine somewhere where possibly looking back, it wasn't the smartest thing in the world. But today we have the benefit not only of being able to look forward, but we also have the benefit of hindsight. So we can see where this has come from. We can see what's happened over the last year. We can see a lot of the utility within cryptocurrency itself and where it's going to. And I think exactly as you said, especially if I'm from an underprivileged community, this is an area that I would be looking into really deeply right now because it is a great equalizer. You just have to find the application, which is a pure difference maker. But if you can do that, exactly what you said, Eric, like money's cheap. It's out there. You can develop something really incredible and come from nothing. And the fact that just so far, it's just been a bunch of other rich people who have managed just to get really wealthy on it, that doesn't mean that people from sectors who could really do with this can't also benefit from it too, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's this one, of course, they're anonymous, right?
Yeah.
He was one of those quote unquote Bitcoin whales, and he was giving away like hundreds of millions of dollars in donations to like projects. I'm sorry, I think he was giving away 70, 80 million.
Yeah. That's all.
Just 70 million. But he was just giving it away to help projects. This person didn't care. They just wanted to help projects grow and good causes. And I think a lot of, the original Bitcoin people, I think we all think the same as well. We just want to.
But there's good people out there. What you're saying is it's already begun, right?
Yeah,
there's already people out there who actively believe that this can bring great change to the world, and they're doing it.
And they're going to, share that wealth with, decentralization, right? The wealth to other places that might not have a lot of wealth. And hopefully that whatever Bitcoin donation or whatever some crypto thing might help them and help them build a business and build their community, their country, their state, so. Yeah.
No, I love it. That's a really nice optimistic point to end. Look, my friend, as a angel investor, as a longtime crypto investor, as a great influencer here in Silicon Beach, it is my pleasure to always have a whiskey and a drink with you and always have you here around the dojo. Yes. And I appreciate all the effort that you make to make sure that people are educated. I know you tirelessly go from conference to conference. How can people contact you if they have any questions?
Just
LinkedIn or something?
I don't use LinkedIn because I don't like them data mining all my friends. Centralized software. You can use my Twitter when I'm not making fun of Roger Ver. So it's going to be at Eric Yuan, Y-U-A-N, Eric with a C and then Y at the end. Or my email, or you can contact Brian here at the Dojo. I mean, I'm going to help out Brian.
You always do, mate.
Yeah.
It's much appreciated, always. Thanks a lot. Again, we will have many, many great times to come. And just thanks for being here and helping out all our entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
And that's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us. If you know any other entrepreneur equally ambitious as you, then share this podcast by paying it forward to other entrepreneurs who are building your own army. Now, as always, our website, expertdojo.com, is packed with information to help you grow your business, find investment, and train for victory. We also walk our talk and invest in startups every year in our accelerator here in Silicon Beach. You can always reach out to me at brian@expertdojo.com, and I look forward to being back here again at our regular time next Tuesday, 10 a.m. with another of the world's top investors, helping you win the war against startup failure.